Hey, what's going on, guys? On today's video, we're going to be discussing how to create immediate rapport with prospects when closing high-ticket sales. Now, listen, in the first 5 to 10 minutes of any kind of sales conversation is incredibly important. Deals can either be won or lost really within the first 10 minutes based off of how the conversation goes. So what I'm going to be doing on this training is giving you step-by-step feedback on what to actually avoid, but more importantly, go over a 4-step system that you can actually implement to create immediate rapport, better trust, and really win the client over within the first 5 to 10 minutes of the conversation. Let's jump into this training. All right, you guys, before we hop into that framework, I want to give you a little bit of lay of the land or framework as to what typically happens. Now, over the course of the last 18 years, I've been in the high ticket sales space, scaling and growing high ticket sales, coaching, consulting, agency services, and I've reviewed thousands of sales calls. And one of the things that I see come up recently that people really are making a mistake is the way that they actually start the conversation off as either a business owner or a high ticket sales rep. So I want to kind of lay down some problems as to what's actually happening. Now, think of it like this. If somebody goes through, they see an ad, they go through some sort of funnel, short form, long form, VSL, whatever it may be, and they book a scheduled call. Now, with the business owner, most likely they've already consumed quite a bit of content about who you are, what you do, and what problems that you actually solve. So they're going to have somewhat of a connection already with you. Hopefully, if your marketing and advertising did the job that it was supposed to do. Now, regardless if you're a business owner, you still want to implement this process to create better rapport with prospects right out of the gate. But the flip side of that, think if you're a business owner and you've hired a high ticket sales rep to field your book scheduled calls so that you can work on the business. Of course, the cliche saying is the goal of a business owner is to work on the business rather than in the business. So once you get to that point where you're able to actually hire and build and bring in high ticket sales reps that can help you to scale and grow your business, there's a few problems that are actually happening. So think of it like this. When the prospect comes in and they book a call, what's happening is the person is saying, okay, wait a minute, who is this individual that I'm actually speaking with? And what are their credibilities? How can they actually help me? Is this just the closer that's jumping on the phone and wanting to actually speak to me? All of those things are what's actually happening in the back of the prospect's mind. And the problem that I see happen oftentimes in the high ticket sales space is a sales rep will come into the conversation and say something to the effect of like, it's great to connect with you. Where are you from? You know, they'll do like the where are you from, how the weather is, yada, 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 small talk. There's a better way of doing that. But what ends up happening is they'll jump into the conversation where they'll say, okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to ask you, I want to better understand your situation based off of what's currently going on, decide whether or not we can help you or not. From there, we'll go, we'll make some decisions and see how we can actually help you. And that's the way that they typically start the conversation, something to that effect. And I see this in just about every script that I review when talking to different business owners that actually sell high ticket services or offerings. If you're a business owner, one, you can create better rapport within the first 5 to 10 minutes. And two, and if you're a high ticket sales rep, you're immediately up against the gun because of the fact that you need to be able to establish trust right out of the gates with that client. You need to be able to set yourself as an authority. You need to be able to win that person over. You need to be able to explain quickly the fact that you have the credentials and you can actually help them to accomplish their goals. When this is done properly, you're looked at as the authority and the person is saying, okay, I'm glad that I'm speaking to this individual because they're going to create a roadmap on how they can actually help me. So let's jump into the framework of how to create better rapport, win over your customers, and be looked at as an authority inside of that sales conversation. So number one, you want to give a brief background on you that gives yourself credibility. And I'm going to give you 2 examples of what I mean by that. If I was starting out on a conversation and I was talking to a business owner and I was helping them with their digital marketing, I would say something to the effect of, well, hey, listen, I didn't give you a very good background. I don't want to spend a lot of time on me or talking about me, but let me just give you a brief background because I didn't really properly introduce myself. My name is Steve. I've been in the digital marketing space for about 18 years. I had a business, scaled it, grew it. Over the course of the last 10 years, I've been helping other businesses set up systems and processes to be able to help them to solve their lead generation, their sales, their marketing and advertising, and really put in processes to be able to scale and grow their business. Right now, what I just did is I kind of mapped out my background, and I also started to name some things that I have a ton of experience on with the problems that I already know that the prospect has. So I'm giving myself some credibility right out of the gate. So if you're a sales rep, there's another way to do that if you don't have 18 years worth of experience. You're going to want to talk about your experience, what you've been able to accomplish, a brief background on some of the things that highlight you and that you're passionate about helping people to solve the problems that you already know that the prospect has. That is step number one. Step number two is how you actually came to work with the company. So I'll give you kind of another example of how I would frame this really quick. Now, the reason that I'm speaking to you is because a close friend of mine reached out. They were working directly with the business owner and they were saying, hey, listen, our business is really scaling and growing fast. Here are some of the results that our clients are getting. We're able to get this done and this done in this time in this short a period of time. And he reached out to me because of my background to come in and help them to be able to scale and grow their business. So I'm going to explain the process of how I chose or why I came to work with that particular business. That's going to connect some dots as to why I'm actually there. I'm not just a high ticket sales rep. I'm not just the closer. I'm going to give them a brief background of why I ended up working with the particular company that I work with. Step number three, talk about real quick your reservations that you had. So in that example that I gave you on step number two, I'm going to say something to the effect of like, yeah, my friend reached out to me. He was talking about the problems that they were solving for businesses, and I was blown away at the results and the case studies that their clients were actually having. And at first I was like, there's no way that they're actually seeing the results. And then as I started to dig in and seeing what was happening, I knew that I had to go in and actually help and work with this business because of their authenticity, because of how awesome their results were, because of what the clients were happening. I'm going to go through and explain why I actually had reservations and why I ended up deciding to work with that company. Now, what that does is that there's always some level of skepticism. Can this person actually really help me? Or can this business actually help me that the prospect actually has? So when we go in and we align the fact that we were skeptical at first, they're probably feeling that. Now all of a sudden it draws us into connecting with the customer, the potential customer, right out of the gates and puts ourselves on their team. The fourth thing that we want to really emphasize in step number 4 is the results that your clients were getting. This is where we want to emphasize. Let's say, for instance, let me give you an example. So let's say, for instance, so I'm talking to a business owner. I was blown away at the fact that we were able to generate a book scheduled call. Our students' closing rates were X. They were able to scale and grow within this time frame. So we want to be really specific at the results that we shoot for as an organization when we're talking to the prospect. Because once again, because of the fact that we know our prospect and we've done some customer research and we know their problems already, we're going to lay out the things that we were blown away personally because it's going to connect them and get them excited about the fact of, okay, great. I'm in the right place. I'm having the right conversation. Look, you guys, you're probably having some questions about how do I actually implement this process? In the link down low, I actually run a Facebook group, free Facebook group. I go live every Tuesday and Friday where I teach and educate people how to implement these processes. If you want to learn more and implement some of these processes, click the link below, join the Facebook group. I'd love to have you come participate. But if you have questions or comments, you don't want to join the Facebook group, go ahead and comment below. And I'd love to be able to do a further training on this particular subject because this creates awesome rapport with your prospects out of the gates. Like us, as always, follow us. Excited to be able to talk to you in the future. Cheers, guys.